This is my first time at this conference, and like I said, I'm honored to be here. I'm not sure that killing Medusa in Clash of the Titans qualifies me to be standing up here today. However, I did grow up in Pasadena, California, and I grew up there because my father was an intimate part of the space program. He worked with Wernher von Braun on the Redstone project, which then evolved into the F-1. He was a thrust engineer at North American Aviation. And I grew up every day hearing about what was happening in the rocket business. From time to time, we would hop in the old Lincoln and drive from Pasadena to Cape Canaveral, stopping off in Huntsville on the way. And we would watch the launches. And every time that I went, well, I actually only went twice in the late 50s, but every time this is what happened. So we had a really exciting trip down to Cape Canaveral and a really bummer of a trip back every time. But nevertheless, growing up with the space program and my father's excitement about having Wernher von Braun to the house for barbecues on Sunday and my time at Caltech and JPL, I've followed the space program, and I've followed what we have done and what we have not done in the last 20 years. And I'm really excited to be a part of this and listen to all of your amazing ideas about how we're going to move forward with space exploration and human space exploration. I forgot to mention before that, though I'm not an astronaut, I have played an astronaut. James Michener wrote a great book called Space back in the 70s, and in 1984, CBS made a 6-hour miniseries called Space, and I was tasked to play an astronaut named Jim Pope, and I was the command module pilot of Apollo 18. For those of you who know that it didn't happen. Anyway, I survived that mission, but my two fellow astronauts didn't make it back from the moon. It was a very sad story. In any case, I'm here now to introduce Tony Daniel. Baen Books managing editor Tony Daniel will present the 2016 Jim Baen Memorial Short Story Award. The contest is co-sponsored by the National Space Society and Baen Books and focuses on stories about the near future and manned space exploration. This is the contest's 10th year, and it is administered by William Ledbetter, an NSS member, and the writer of more than 50 published speculative fiction stories and non-fiction articles. The National Space Society and Baen Books applaud the role of science fiction, the role that it plays in advancing real science, and have teamed up to sponsor this short fiction contest in memory of Baen Books founder Jim Baen. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Daniel.
You know, great science fiction strives to use a plausible future as a setting. This means that it is sometimes dismissed by otherwise thoughtful people because the exercise seems pointless. We can't really predict the future. Although I would strongly encourage you to put your chips on the sun rising tomorrow. And if you do win the long shots, you won't be able to collect anyway. Science fiction can be on the depressing side in the last few years. You've seen that with a lot of the zombie apocalypse, nanotech apocalyptic worlds, the virtual worlds where everybody is trapped inside a digital nightmare. But there's another kind of primal stuff of childhood, deep feelings within all of us that are just as basic and important, like curiosity and hope and awe in the presence of the magnificent universe we were born into. In science fiction, we tend to call these feelings the sense of wonder, kind of group them together. That is a science fiction reader's bread and butter. It turns out that the best way to communicate that feeling is to take a great idea and tell a story. Create great characters, give them a fascinating problem to solve based on that wonderful idea, and tell a story. And that is why the Jim Baen Memorial Science Fiction Short Story Award exists. The award is co-sponsored each year by Baen Books and the National Space Society. It honors stories about the near future where humans are striving to move upward and outward to create, make money, make a life, and take to space in some manner. There will be problems along the way, of course. These are often created by the very endeavor itself. Solving those problems are what make the sense of wonder feel authentic and earned in a story. And this is the sweet spot we are looking for in the stories we choose to receive the Jim Baen Memorial Award. It's been an amazing journey for going on 11 years now, this partnership. From the beginning, it's been helmed by our amazing administrator, William Ledbetter, who does a stupendous job. By the way, Bill just won a Nebula Award for his short story, a novella. Baen Books will be putting out a 10th anniversary anthology, edited by Bill, in October at booksellers everywhere that will collect the best and brightest stories from our past contest winners. So look for that. This year we are honoring Feldspar, an excellent story by Philip A. Kramer that is set on Mars. It's a great examination of the way the sense of wonder and ambition for creation can be just as important, and maybe even more so, to humans who work with robotic and remote craft in exploring and building a future in space. Philip is with us today, as are our second and third place winners. These are Stephen Lawson, author of an excellent story involving railguns and CRISPR DNA technology. That one's called Bullet Catch. And also with us is M.T. Wrighton, author of a story called An Economy of Air. This one is a moon-based story about what a real tough and rough and tumble frontier might be like, filled with rugged individualists and in contention with corporations trying to make a buck and sometimes in collaboration. Part of the JBM Award is professional publication at professional rates. Philip's story Feldspar and Stephen's Bullet Catch will both appear on the Baen.com website on June 15th, so absolutely you can go and read these stories there. Please do. You will find the great stuff we saw when we chose them out of the dozens and dozens of other entries. So now let us present the Jim Baen Memorial Short Story Award for 2017 to Philip A. Kramer for his science fiction short story, Feldspar. Philip.
It is an honor to receive this award at this amazing conference, both as a writer and as a scientist. I'd just like to thank all those that made this happen. First, my family and friends who gave me valuable feedback on the story, and Bill Ledbetter for administrating the contest. I'd also like to thank all of the judges who chose my story out of all the valuable or all of the amazing entries. It couldn't have been an easy decision. Finally, I would like to thank Jim Baen for the impact he had on the science fiction field and the legacy he left behind. It would be difficult to find a scientist in here, I think, who is not inspired in some way by science fiction. I think we've all dreamed of a future where traveling to space becomes just as routine as getting on the bus each morning to go to work. The part of me that's a writer could only dream of this future, but it's up to the scientist in me and in all of us to make that a reality. Thank you.